the richest country on earth, where you can buy a $5,000 truck with a touchscreen, but not a $5,000 surgery that might save your life. In 2025, Americans are leaving their own hospitals to get treated in Canada and Mexico. Why are people crossing borders for healthcare? And what does it say about the world's greatest medical system? They call it the best healthcare system in the world, the miracle of modern medicine, the land of billion-dollar hospitals and robotic surgeries. But behind the glass towers and polished ads is the cruelest irony of all. The system doesn't save everyone. It bankrupts them. In a country that spends more than any other nation on healthcare, the leading cause of bankruptcy is healthcare itself. Think about that. The so-called cure is the very thing making people sick with debt. And here's the quiet tragedy. People don't dream of living longer. They dream of just being able to afford living at all. They're not asking for luxury. They're asking for survival. That's the price tag no politician dares to put on the billboard. So maybe the real illusion isn't the shiny hospitals or miracle drugs. It's the belief that this system was ever built for patients. Maybe it was only ever built for profit. And if that's true, then the question isn't whether America has the best healthcare in the world. The question is, who gets to have it, and who gets left to die waiting? If this made you think twice, don't just click away. Subscribe, share, argue in the comments. Because the only thing more dangerous than a broken system is a silent audience. The irony couldn't be sharper. For decades, Americans mocked Mexico with that tired line, "Don't drink the water." Now, they're crossing the border in droves, not for tequila, not for tacos, but for dental implants, heart surgeries, even cancer treatment. In 2024 alone, 1.2 million Americans left the country for healthcare, and the numbers in 2025 climbing fast. So much for the myth of superiority. The country that branded itself the medical capital of the world can't even keep its own people from fleeing to what it once called less advanced. Because here's the brutal truth. The water may still be risky, but the hospital bills aren't. And it's not just Mexico. Even Canada, America's smug northern cousin, is cashing in on the collapse. The very neighbor Americans love to mock for wait times, and bureaucracy is now a lifeline for those who can't survive a $100,000 ER visit back home. This isn't medical tourism, it's medical exile, a silent vote of no confidence in the so-called best system on earth. If that doesn't make you rethink the American dream, nothing will. And if you're still here, maybe you're one of the few willing to question it. Subscribe, share, or just sit with the irony that the only way to heal is to leave. Canada was never meant to be America's emergency room. Yet every year, more Americans quietly cross that northern border, cash in hand, desperate to buy back their health. They're not chasing luxury. They're chasing survival at half the price. Here's the irony. Canadians complain about waiting months for surgery. Americans, they complain they'll never afford the surgery at all. Two broken systems, two different pains. But when the slow line in Canada looks like a lifeline compared to a $1,000 bill in the States, the absurdity is impossible to ignore. Think about it. In the land of private jets and billion-dollar tech startups, citizens are driving hours into another country, begging to jump someone else's wait list. This isn't innovation. It's desperation dressed as choice. And that's the part no glossy hospital ad will tell you. America's neighbor, mocked for bureaucracy and delays, is becoming the back door to affordable care. Because when your system is built on profit instead of patience, even a slow door looks better than a locked one. So ask yourself, if even Canada's flaws feel like salvation, what does that really say about the American dream? If that question stings, don't look away. Subscribe, comment, share, because silence won't heal anything. A $100,000 toothache, that's not a headline. That's America. In a country where you can buy a brand new car for less than the cost of fixing your smile, people aren't laughing. They're suffering. Dental care often shoved outside the safety net of insurance, yet people are pulling out their own teeth in their kitchens because the bill would bankrupt them. That's not resilience. That's cruelty disguised as normal. And here's the kicker. This isn't cosmetic. We're not talking about veneers or Hollywood smiles. We're talking infections, abscesses, pain so unbearable it can kill you. Survival, not vanity. And still, the system shrugs. So yes, Americans are fleeing for dental care. Because in Mexico, fixing your teeth costs less than a week's rent in New York. Back home, it costs your future. That's the story buried behind the glossy ads and robotic surgeries. A system where a toothache can destroy your life. And if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, maybe nothing will. Subscribe, share, because someone you know is one bad tooth away from bankruptcy. 500,000. That's how many Americans file for bankruptcy every single year because of medical bills. Think about the irony. You beat cancer, but your bank account doesn't survive the treatment. You leave the hospital alive, but financially dead. In most countries, illness is a tragedy. In America, it's a business model. Survival isn't measured in medicine, but in credit scores. And here's the gut punch. In Canada or Mexico, with all their flaws, people don't lose their homes just because they got sick. They don't have to choose between chemo and bankruptcy court. Yet in the richest nation on earth, bankruptcy is practically a line item on the patient chart. Diagnosis, pneumonia. Treatment, antibiotics. Side effect, lifelong debt. How did we get here? How do we accept this? And maybe the darker question, why hasn't America fixed it? Maybe because for some, this isn't a crisis. It's a jackpot. So when politicians promise reform and corporations promise compassion, remember the numbers. 500 general bankruptcies every year. And the system keeps humming along as if destruction is just part of the plan. If that leaves you angry, good. Stay angry. Subscribe, share, argue, because silence is the only pre-existing condition that guarantees nothing changes. Follow the money, and the picture comes into focus. Pharma giants setting prices like auctioneers. Insurance lobbyists writing laws in back rooms. Hospital CEOs cashing checks the size of small nations' budgets. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. And here's the cruel joke. They call it healthcare. But really, it's wealth care. A machine that devours 18% of America's GDP, more than double what other wealthy nations spend. And still, Americans die younger, pay more, live less. That's the business model. So when people pack their bags for Mexico or Canada, it isn't random. It's math. Because when your local ER charges $1,000 just to walk through the door, flying across a border starts to look like the smarter option. This isn't just medical tourism anymore. It's medical escape, a quiet rebellion against a system designed to keep patients sick, scared, and paying. And maybe that's the bitterest truth of all. The very system that calls itself the best in the world is the one driving people out of it. So the next time you hear the slogan, "America leads in healthcare," ask yourself, leads who and leads where? If you want more of the stories no one wants to say out loud, subscribe, share, and don't look away. Once upon a time, retirees fled south for sunshine, beaches, and golf. Now, they're fleeing for knee replacements and dental implants. The new migration isn't about weather, it's about survival. Welcome to the age of all-inclusive surgery vacations. Hotel, nurse, surgery, recovery. All bundled together, still cheaper than a single US hospital bill. The irony? These packages are marketed like travel brochures. Palm trees, smiling doctors, spa-like recovery rooms. US hospitals are watching billions bleed across borders, while competitors abroad build empires out of America's collapse. Every flight south is another reminder that the world figured out how to make healthcare affordable, except the country that brags about being number one. Think about that. The richest nation on earth exporting patients like a failed product line. What does that say about the dream it keeps selling? So when you see glossy ads promising world-class care, ask yourself, if it's really world-class, why is the world cashing in on America's refugees? Subscribe, comment, share, because this migration, it's only just beginning. Here's the part they don't put in the commercials. US hospitals know exactly what's happening. Quietly, behind the scenes, some are even partnering with Mexican and Canadian providers, not to compete, but to offload patients they can't or won't cover. That's not innovation, that's surrender. So let's get this straight. The richest healthcare system in the world has found its solution for the uninsured. Ship them across the border, outsourcing Americans like broken machinery. And we're supposed to applaud this? The betrayal is almost laughable. The same hospitals that charge $100 for a bandage now turn around and admit, through their actions, that someone else can do it better and cheaper. It's not just hypocrisy, it's proof. Proof that the myth of American superiority crumbles the second you follow the money out the door. And that leaves one brutal question hanging in the air. If Mexico or Canada can treat you for half the price, what exactly are you paying for in the United States? The medicine or the markup? If that stings, Good, because silence is exactly what keeps the charade alive. Subscribe, share, speak up, because the moment we stop asking that question is the moment we've already lost. $30,000 to give birth, $100 for a single pill, $3 grand just to ride in an ambulance you never asked for. In America, staying alive comes with a luxury tax, and the bill always finds you. This isn't medicine, it's extortion in a white coat. Survival isn't a right, it's a subscription plan. Pay monthly, pay forever, or get cut off. And here's the irony. The so-called land of affordability, the place where you can buy fast food for $1, will bankrupt you for daring to survive a heart attack. No wonder medical tourism isn't just a desperate option for the poor anymore. It's becoming the escape hatch for the middle class. Teachers, office workers, even young families, people who once believed the system would protect them, are now buying plane tickets just to avoid financial ruin. Think about that. America spends more on healthcare than any nation in history, yet the people footing the bill are running away from it. That's not progress. That's collapse dressed in designer scrubs. So the next time someone tells you America has the best healthcare in the world, ask yourself, best for who? If you want the answers no one's selling, subscribe, share, and remember, the luxury tax only works if you keep paying it. Imagine needing a passport for an MRI. That's where America is now. It's not just the uninsured or the desperate anymore. It's middle-class families, people who did everything right, bought insurance, built savings, followed the rules. And still, one diagnosis later, they're crushed under bills that make leaving the country the only sane option. That's the part no politician wants to say out loud. The so-called backbone of America, the middle class, is quietly joining the exodus. Teachers, nurses, small business owners, not rebels, not radicals, just ordinary people who refuse to bankrupt themselves for the privilege of staying sick at home. And the irony? Insurance was supposed to be the shield. Instead, it's become a leaky umbrella in a storm designed to drown you. Families who thought they were safe are discovering they're just next in line. So yes, America still has gleaming hospitals, miracle drugs, and billion-dollar machines. But what good is any of it if the people it was built for are boarding planes just to afford a chance at survival? Which brings us to the final, uncomfortable question. If the middle class is running, who will be left to believe in the system at all? Subscribe, comment, share. Because this story isn't about leaving. It's about what America is losing. America still calls itself the medical leader of the world, the land of miracle surgeries, billion-dollar hospitals, and cutting-edge science. But here's the unspoken future. Millions are quietly fleeing that very system, exporting patients like defective products, families booking surgery vacations, retirees crossing borders for medicine, the middle class carrying passports not for leisure, but for survival. And the hospitals back home, they know. They're watching. They're bleeding money as fast as they bleed trust. So maybe the story isn't about healthcare at all. Maybe it's about belief, about whether a system built on profit can still pretend to serve people, about how long citizens will swallow the illusion that world-class care exists when it's priced out of reach for most of the world. And here's the gut punch. Maybe the world's greatest healthcare system is only great if you're rich enough to never need it. So ask yourself, when the dream requires a passport just to stay alive, is it still a dream? Subscribe, share, speak up, because silence won't save you, and neither will the system.